It's time to pick a side. The Border War is on the air with BG and 10. All right, welcome into the Border War for May the 2nd, 2018. We would like to thank listeners last week in Horsham, Pennsylvania, Easley, South Carolina, and get a load of this, Tan Man, Senegal.
I always like to picture like these far-off places, like these warlord generals in this vast wasteland trying to gain military knowledge, and they click on the border war, and then they hear us. And leave very disappointed.
Yeah, we usually don't have follow-up listens from places like Senegal, but however we can get listeners.
If you were tuning in, and what's the town in Senegal? Dakar?
Yes.
Welcome.
Welcome to you, oh mighty warlord. You can follow us on Twitter at The Border War. Follow me at BG_Border War and Tanman at Tanman3264. Please email us comments and questions at CarolinaBorderWar@gmail.com and like and download us through the Spreaker app. We can also be found on YouTube, sometimes on SoundCloud, and be sure to like and share the Border War on Facebook. All right, so we're going to start off this week on a tight schedule. We're going to denote 4 minutes for general sports talk. Here we go. So we're going to start off by talking about college baseball. Let's give it a little bit of a discussion here.
You guys had a nice couple weekends.
South Carolina, North
weeks,
Carolina,
right?
Clemson, all playing good baseball. South Carolina, thankfully, playing better baseball now. Look, we have a talent right now for coming back when we're down pretty big. I mean, we've won a few games down 6-0, 7-0, come back and won them. Mm-hmm. You may recall that I told you in the Florida and Clemson series we were down by a lot of runs and were one hit away from coming back. Those didn't work out. But whatever happened after we lost to Presbyterian, which is still hard for me to say out loud.
Inexcusable.
Obviously, this is a different baseball team, at least for now. Some projections have us in the playoffs now. Some say we're not. It really doesn't matter. There's still a lot of baseball left to play. A big series with Texas A&M to close the season.
I was getting ready to ask you who your conference
and we have a College of Charleston matchup with one Chad Holbrook as head coach. So that could be an interesting one. So USC still has a shot to make it into the playoffs. I don't know that that's what this season's about one way or the other, but at least we've made some progress.
Yeah.
You guys, on the other hand, are sitting at 32-13 right now.
Swept NC State, I think. We're in first place of the Coastal Division.
You've won 8 games in a row, and if you keep playing at the clip you are now, a 40-win season is not out of the question.
Well, where we rank right now? 6th, I think.
Yeah.
So, clearly we're in the mix for one of those top 8.
You should definitely. I would think there'll be a Chapel Hill Super Regional. Obviously, it helps to win your regional.
Clemson is on top of the Atlantic Division, and they had another big weekend. So
they swept Virginia, all in games by 1 run, and that's the thing I wanted to point out about Clemson is they've been really good in close games. If you look at Carolina and Clemson's seasons, what you'll notice is that Carolina's lost a lot of one run games. Easy for me to say. And Clemson's winning all of those one-run games.
Yeah.
They're sitting at 34-11. They're a shoo-in for a super regional, I would think. And it would take an absolute collapse of epic proportions for them not to win 40 games this season. Clemson should, I said at the beginning of the season, this is a team that's loaded with seniors and a junior that's the best player in college baseball from the plate. It's Omaha or bust for Monty Lee's group this year. And they've been disappointing in the playoffs. Past 3 seasons. They have not done well once the postseason rolled around. They need to get that monkey off their back this year.
Yeah, well, one team that is not disappointed so far on the baseball diamond, BG, the Atlanta Braves. They currently sit at 17-11, winners of 5 of the last 6.
Half a game back from the Mets, who they beat last night.
Half a game back. Michael Soroka makes his debut last night, 6 innings, a run. 5 strikeouts, no walks. They've got the 3 youngest players in baseball all on their team. And here's one I heard the great Bill Shanks the other day mention. A couple years ago in the minor leagues, Ozzie Albies did not hit a home run all season. So far this year, he has 9, and leads baseball in extra base hits.
He is on fire, and to get that kind of production out of your second baseman, and let's not forget that he looks like another Ozzie sometimes on those defensive plays. This kid is an all-five-tool baseball player.
I'll tell you, Ronald Acuna has been
He's changed
as
their
advertised.
Lineup. He has changed their lineup. I love that it's not the Freddie Freeman show anymore.
No.
Freddie feels like he could sit back and be that veteran leader that he needs to be, but without the pressure to do all the damage at the plate. I mean, you've got power now, 10-man, going as far down as the 7th spot in the lineup.
Well, we mentioned before the season, when you look at this team and you wonder where the bat's at, where the hit's going to come from. They are 4th in the Major League Baseball in runs scored and slugging percentage, and they are 1st in batting average and on-base percentage. So at least through the first month of the season, the bats are certainly swinging down in Atlanta.
The only real question mark on this team right now, in my opinion, is the bullpen. They've blown a lot of leads. The games they've lost, a lot of them they've been winning in about the 5th or 6th inning.
Well, they've got enough. I think by the end of the season, when you start getting toward the middle and the trade deadline, they're going to bring up some of these young guys, and then all of a sudden they're going to be faced with the prospect of maybe trading some of these older veteran guys that they have.
That's exactly
for bullpen help.
What I've got on my notes here, that I think you're still going to see some trades in the Braves' future. But look, Tan, man, you have to feel good about the fact that the youth on this team is widespread, and it's the reason they're winning. They're not winning in spite of their youth. They're winning because of their youth.
Yep. Now, big things happening down in Atlanta. So let's move on, BG, to the NFL draft. I don't know if you saw it. It was in Dallas. Everything's bigger in Texas. They put on a heck of a show down there.
They've already had the draft?
Yeah.
I thought it was in D.C. this year.
No, it'll never be in D.C. Crime rate is unbelievable. Very sad. So sad. A lot of Gamecocks, Tar Heels, Tigers were either drafted or signed some contracts this weekend. On you guys' side, obviously, you have Hayden Hurst in the first round to Baltimore, but you've got a lot of undrafted free agents signed deals. Lamons, Taylor Stallworth,
Corey Helms.
Sky Moore signs with Indianapolis. That's a guy who was a first-round pick, on a lot of first-round boards a year or two ago. He suffers the injury, a little undersized. Now he signs an undrafted deal. I was a little surprised that nobody came late for Sky Moore.
Especially, and Muschamp's had 2 years to coach, and Muschamp has such a good defensive reputation in the NFL. I was a little bit surprised at that, too. I thought he would go in about the 5th round.
I was thinking, day 3 somewhere, 5, 6, 7.
It'll be interesting to see whether or not he stays at linebacker. I suspect he'll end up playing safety, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Either way, they got themselves a good football player.
On the Tar Heels side, M.J. Stewart goes in the 2nd round to Tampa Bay, cornerback. Linebacker Andre Smith goes 234 to the Panthers. Austin Proehl next to last to Buffalo. They've also got a couple undrafted free agents that have signed deals. Lineman Bentley Spain goes to the Jets. And for Clemson, not a real draft-heavy lineup this year. I suspect that will probably change next year.
Let me just say, if you're a Gamecock fan out there posting on social media that we had somebody drafted in the 1st round and they didn't, shut up.
Yeah, they're going to have like 94 guys next year.
Look, if you want to make any noise, ask. The question is, why did all of Clemson's first-round juniors go back to school? But maybe that's another discussion.
But the Tigers, Dorian O'Daniel goes 100 to Kansas City. Deion Kane goes 185 to Indianapolis. 2 picks later, Ray McLeod goes to Buffalo. Lineman Taylor Hearn signs an undrafted free agent deal with Carolina. So a lot of guys who are going to get their opportunity. Like Mike Golick says all the time, you get a helmet, you get shoulder pads. Go out there and make something happen. You've got a chance.
Who out of your crew there do you think, give me one player that you think has the best chance of being in the league 5 years from today?
Austin Proehl. His dad,
I'd agree with that.
We know his dad. He had a great career with St. Louis.
Richard Proehl.
Richard Proehl had a nice career with St. Louis and Carolina. He's been basically prepping to be an NFL wide receiver his whole life. I think Austin Proehl is going to have
so much about the NFL that is other
year.
than talent. Having a dad to give him advice is a huge deal. Well, what about from Clemson? Who do you think out of those 3, who's got the best chance of sticking around? I mean, I think it's kind of obvious.
I think it's O'Daniel.
He's really the only one. Deion Kane just sort of fell off. I mean, when he was a freshman, I thought he was going to be a real problem, but he ended up sort of not being. As far as South Carolina goes, I'm going to actually go out on a limb here a little bit. I think Chris Lamons is the guy that has the best chance of sticking around, other than Hayden Hurst.
I think it's Hayden Hurst.
Well, but I'm with a first-round pick, I think he's just sort of penciled in. I sort of mean of the guys that are thumbs up or thumbs down, if you want to be kind of guys. Lamons has a lot of savvy, and he's got that NFL-style speed. Sky Moore slows down just a little bit. He's probably going to have a hard time unless he can beef up and stay at that linebacker position.
Well, we saw the top of the draft. We talked about it a little bit last week. We both thought, there's no way they're pulling the trigger on this one.
We really did.
We were way wrong. BG, what did you think about that Baker Mayfield pick when you saw it go across the top of the board?
I think it's terrible. I think they've made an awful, awful, awful mistake, and they're the Cleveland Browns, and I really thought, I almost think they got angry listening to everybody tell them that wasn't who they were going to pick. I think I just don't get them, man. We talked about this. They're not in a position to miss as bad as you might have missed with Baker Mayfield.
Look, it's one thing to make a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes. Guys don't pan out. You don't want to compound that mistake. When they turned around at 4 and they passed on Bradley Chubb, I thought you just compounded the mistake, man. We've seen them a couple years ago draft an undersized
not a lot of people are talking about that
and double it up with an undersized cornerback a few years ago with Justin Gilbert.
Deep draft at cornerback too, man. And of all the positions in football, is that not the place where you can get good value in free agency?
Well, and I'll tell you, before we move on, the thing that really struck me, they go, 4th round, they take Antonio Callaway out of Florida. They're going to stick him, the guy who's failing drug tests, who's getting basically kicked out of school, and they're going to stick him in the same locker room as Josh Gordon. I mean, that's like the worst place for him to go.
I didn't think about that.
That was like literally the worst place for that young man to land.
Let me just sum this up real fast from my standpoint. Baker Mayfield's about 6 feet tall. I'm tired of people talking about Drew Brees. Drew Brees is an outlier. He has decent arm talent. At the college level, I would say he has B-plus arm talent. In the NFL, I'd say he has C arm talent. And you want me to tell you the most horrifying stat about Baker Mayfield of all? He runs a slower 40-yard dash than Jadeveon Clowney.
Well, a lot of people run slower.
No, not when you're a quarterback. You best be faster than the defensive ends. I don't think it's. I think it's a recipe for disaster. I really do.
Well, listen, we are. Time is slipping away faster than I thought it would, so we're going to jump ahead. We're going to get to the Redskins. You guys picked first of our box teams in the box. You guys had the highest pick, so we're going to start with you guys.
Yeah.
BG, what's your overall opinion on you guys' draft?
I was pleasantly surprised. Scott McCloughan wasn't involved in this draft at all. I think last year was basically his draft, even though he had already been let go. I thought it went pretty well. I thought we resisted the big splash draft. I think Deron Payne is not a sexy pick, but it's a solid pick in an NFC East that's starting to look like run-heavy.
When you see Barkley go to, obviously Dallas was with Ezekiel Elliott. You got to do something on that defensive line.
I think on paper, it looks like we got the steal of the draft. Guys out of LSU. He's an angry runner. He's a big runner. And I told you this off the air, too, but I remember, 2 seasons ago, everybody was saying Randy Gregory was a steal for you guys. It turns out all those people that passed on him had a point.
Well, he could have been a steal.
He could have been.
And
that's the thing we're going to have to find out about guys. But the good news is the Redskins didn't even lose a pick to get him. They went and got an extra pick, traded back, and ended up getting the guy everybody thought they should have gotten in the second round. So
Geis is someone that, if you followed a few of the mock drafts, some of them had you guys taking him at 13.
Oh, sure.
And so to get him where you got him at in the second round, if he pans out and has got his head on straight and is not arguing with front office executives for interrupting his Madden games, then that could be a big pickup, because that's one position where you guys seem to go through somebody every week last year was at running back.
Right. Couldn't stay healthy. I guess that's probably it for Fat Rob, but he was never really a long-term NFL back anyway. I'm not super impressed with the Apke pick. I mean, the kid out of Penn State that ran the 4.3 240. Other than being fast, I'm not sure what that actually does. I would have probably taken a guard over tackle in the third round. We've got two really good tackles on both sides of our line.
Yeah.
I actually think if Geis runs the way I think he can, I think you're going to see our offensive line really get excited about having somebody to block for a change. Most people are giving us an A- to a B+ on most of the draft grades I see, and that's about where I would have us. I really think Doug Williams was pretty heavily invested in these picks. This felt like a football player's draft rather than look shiny like it does some years.
Well,
with us.
I tell you, sitting here looking over you guys' selections, I see the defensive tackle out of Virginia Tech, Tim Settle. You guys picked him up late. One guy that jumped out at me, you got him in the 6th round, linebacker from Alabama, Sean Deion Hamilton. Alabama defensive players.
Well, the Redskins continue to become Tuscaloosa North.
Right. Getting him at the 6th round, if he can stay healthy. I know he's a guy that was banged up a little bit down there in college, but if he can stay healthy, that could be a nice pickup. And Mr. Irrelevant, Trey Quinn. Most of the time these guys just kind of go into camp and float away, but he's someone.
Except for Ryan Suckup.
He's one that after you guys picked him, a lot of the analysts that were still sticking around on stage raved about his ability and his route running, and I saw one. He's
got an Amendola type quality.
I saw one place that said that Jay Gruden wanted to take him much earlier. It didn't say where, but that Gruden wanted him earlier, and kind of got overruled by the room. So you stuck around, snuck back in, and got your man. And Gruden got his man. I guess
the Redskins definitely had some stuff that could have gone south with them. This year they got lucky. Everything seemed to work out for them. I think probably they would have taken Vita Vea a pick ahead of that. I think Tampa Bay I don't know what they were doing. They needed defensive secondary help in the worst kind of way.
I think there are going to be a lot of teams that wind up regretting passing on Derwin James as the years go on. And Tampa's going to be one.
Normally, and we may be one. Normally, I would be in favor of taking the better player, but our need in the interior defensive line was just so great. And you and I have talked about it. The way the NFC East is shaping up to look right now, it is going to be a hard-nosed, smash-mouth football division. And I think you have to have that big body up front.
Yeah. Well, SB Nation gave you guys an A-. We've seen some A's, could be pluses. So overall, a nice draft for the Redskins, I'd say. On the Cowboys side, my overall opinion has changed. I will say I wasn't.
You were not happy with Leighton Vander Esch on night one.
Not in the least. As a matter of fact, I shut my TV off in anger and silenced my phone because I got about 47.
Look, the Cowboys fans in attendance
faces.
Didn't look a lot happier than you did.
And
there were a lot of jaws.
47 smiley faces in about a 30-second window there, so my phone had to be shut off. But as we've gotten out a couple days, I've told you I feel a lot more confident with this. I saw one guy post, I don't remember if it was Twitter or Facebook, but he made the comment, if you have commented, within the past couple years about the defense, how it looks when Sean Lee is not on the field, then you probably just need to hush up about the pick at linebacker. So I've come back around. I wasn't a fan of his Chuckles routine after he got drafted, but
I guess my biggest question with him was, would he have been there in round 2? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I really don't think he would have, because I told you a few of the mock drafts I saw actually had us taking him, so I think he probably would have been gone before we come back around in round 2. The round 2 pick is one that I was a little more disappointed with. We needed a tight end. It broke. I think that Jason Witten probably could have waited a day or two to announce to the world, hey, I'm probably going to retire, because to me he really put the Cowboys in a spot where everybody in the league knows,
right,
now you need this guy. And
right.
Philadelphia jumped one spot ahead of them to take Dallas to go there. So they set up for Connor Williams. They say he's probably going to be a day one starter on the offensive line. But after that, I take a little bit of a wait-and-see approach to us. We didn't address the safety position at all. So that's one area. The one pick that I really love, Bo Scarborough in round 7.
Oh, no question.
I mean, that guy was,
Although his name still makes me feel bad.
Why?
You know why? When he got hurt,
it
cost me it cost me everything.
Yeah.
It cost me everything, man.
It ruined part of your life. But Scarborough in the 7th round, that's going to take some pressure off of Ezekiel Elliott. For whatever reason, Alfred Morris just never did that for him. But I'm loving the Scarborough pick, man.
I don't think Alfred Morris was ever suited to be a come off the bench kind of guy. He needs to carry the ball 30 times a game to get into his rhythm. Should have never left Washington, but we can talk about that in July. Yeah, you guys, it felt like, we talked about this earlier too, it felt like you had a weird draft, though. I mean, it just...
Yeah.
I mean, it felt like... well, you've brought this up to me many, many times. You don't personally think Jerry's running this boat anymore, right? I mean, who's making these decisions in the war room in Dallas?
In my opinion, Stephen Jones is the one making the decisions.
Just to be clear for everybody, that's Jerry's
son.
Jerry's 70-year-old son.
Yeah.
Right now.
I think Jerry's got the final say. I'm sure he reserves the right to overrule anything absurd. But when you listen to what he said the other day about there being 10 number 1 receivers in the whole league, referring to us releasing Des Bryant, and how teams are going to go about it differently, et cetera, et cetera. So he obviously has been shopping bargain basement with that. He's kind of gone bargain basement with some of the free agent signings lately. And then you just look over our draft and take you guys, for instance, and I mentioned this to you earlier. Look at where I see Alabama, I see LSU, I see Penn State, I see Virginia Tech. You look at ours, I see 2 Boise State, I see Colorado State, I see Texas, I see Western Kentucky. Not exactly football powerhouses.
Right.
And then when you couple that with, I think we've drafted like 6 quarterbacks the whole time Jerry Jones has been an owner, and we drafted one here late, a backup quarterback. To me, this whole thing, this has got Stephen Jones' fingerprints all over it.
You didn't like that move that Philly jumped you, and you felt like you got played a little.
I don't think that ever would have happened had Jerry really been the one.
But I mean, is the point though that Jerry can't handle being the one anymore? I mean, he's not the youngest man on earth.
I think that's part of it.
That's got to be
some part of it.
On the flip side with the Skins, real quick before we move on, I do think that Daniel Snyder has all but removed himself from the situation. I don't think you don't become a multi-billionaire by being an idiot. I think he finally has realized, you know what? I don't know what I'm doing. Yes, thank you. I'm right there with you. And I think you really do. I think you've got Doug Williams now, which I hope turns out sort of being like the situation that the Browns used to have and now the Ravens have, with an ex-player running that draft that actually knows what's what.
Yeah.
All right, so moving on to the Panthers, the hometown team here.
Yep.
Look, let me just start off by saying that I think DJ Moore was a heck of a pickup, man. I think this is going to help their offense in a big way. Man, he was the Maryland offense last year. I mean, this kid, there's nothing bad about him. Good size, good routes, explosive speed. And my favorite thing when I was watching his film, I had no idea because, Maryland is now in football purgatory. They're not playing in the ACC where anybody can watch them. But nobody can tackle this man. This guy makes people miss, I would say, 8 or 9 missed tackles a game in the film I watched. I mean, he just is impossible to get down.
Steve Smith commented afterwards how the Carolina Panthers have not replaced him since they let him go.
And he's right.
And that he feels like they finally replaced him with DJ Moore. I almost said with Steve Smith. With DJ Moore. Just looking over their draft, I think they nailed it, BG.
I do too.
I think they nailed it. I think you've got Moore in round 1.
2 good physical corners the next 2 rounds.
You get Dante Jackson out of LSU and Rashawn Golden, who can play cornerback, safety.
What I like about Golden is that they can slip him in on the slot because he's a very physical guy. And so Jackson, they're not just cookie cutter.
They're different players.
They're different players.
But they're looking for somebody to go opposite of James Bradbury on the other side. So you figure if you buy enough lottery tickets, one of them is going to hit. They pick up another cornerback later on in the draft, but round 4 is I think where they really hit the home runs. You get a nice pickup. Perhaps some guys thought that Ian Thomas was the best tight end in the draft. You got Greg Olson, who's getting longer in the tooth, but certainly not on his way out yet. But then you get Marquise Haynes, the linebacker from Ole Miss. Basically broke all the sack records, all the tackle records down there in Oxford. I think really those first 5 picks, I think they're all going to play.
Oh yeah, no,
right away.
That's what I wrote. They're going to
right away. They're going to play right away. The only thing that I didn't like about the draft,
I wonder if you're going to say the same thing I've got here. Go ahead.
They didn't address the running back position.
It's a similar thing. I wrote that they didn't draft a single offensive lineman, and I thought that was strange.
That's
in today's NFL draft with 7 picks, I would love to know. I don't know how many other teams didn't draft a single offensive lineman, but we may be talking about two sides of the same coin here, because their running game has definitely fallen off.
Well, a buddy of mine called the other day. I spoke to him for a good long while. He's a Panthers fan, and he was kind of concerned about, I think he said this was Ryan Khalil's last year.
Oh.
And so...
He
didn't address that at all. Christian McCaffrey, he's not an every down running back.
No.
He's kind of a
I'm
jack
not
of
even
all.
sure he's a running back anymore. He's a slot receiver.
A jack of all trades guy. So maybe they're just going to hand split that off with Artis Payne. Now that Stewart's out of the picture, maybe Artis Payne is going to be the guy, and they've seen enough of him. But I thought that, at least later on in the draft, that they would try and come up with a running back.
However you want to look at it.
But other than that,
you don't draft a running back or an offensive lineman. You're obviously not addressing your running game.
Yeah, but other than that, like I said, the first 5 picks in their draft, I think they were home runs. I think they're all going to play and contribute right away. So, double thumbs up to the Panthers on their draft.
I think DJ Moore is going to be a star right out of the gate, and I think he's going to make McCaffrey look even better.
SB Nation gives him a B. I think that's ridiculously low. And you never know with those draft grades until 2-3 years down the road. But I'm just looking at this. I see B. To me, that's absurdly low.
Ask yourself this. Last year, 2017 draft, the New Orleans Saints obviously had the best draft. Their draft won the division and turned the team around. Okay. Mm-hmm. Nobody had them as having the best draft. People were giving them A-, B+, and let's be honest, giving somebody a B+ in today's NFL is that's basically saying I have no idea.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
That's a cop-out.
So we won't know until we know.
We won't know until we know. Time will tell. All right, BG, the NBA playoffs are going on.
Yawn. They're over, man.
The first round was fantastic.
It was the best first round I've ever seen.
Last year, you get a bunch of sweeps, but this year you get a couple game 7s, you get a couple game 6s, and at the end of the day, we're sitting here.
Tan Man, have you ever watched a movie for the second time and you know what the ending is, and you still find yourself getting tense or nervous, and you sort of in the back of your head think, why? Why am I getting tense and nervous? I know what's going to happen.
Kind of like I was on Sunday afternoon.
What?
When I knew the Pacers, I already knew.
But you just jumped to my analogy. I was using the movie example to set that up, and then here you go, just barreling on through my content.
I ruined the show.
Yeah.
I ruined the show.
But, look, we talked about this in July, and you said, what do you think really is going to happen? And we were both like, it's going to be the Cavs and the Warriors. What are we talking about? And I think we even fooled ourselves for a little while. I don't think we desperately wanted it.
I don't think we fooled ourselves.
I fooled myself. I can admit it.
I don't think we fooled ourselves. I think we were hoping against hope that we could get something different.
I thought you guys were going to beat them for about a week and a half. I really did. They looked, and then, and look, your man Dickie V got on Jerry V gets on my nerves. He comes out with, I thought the Cavs were supposed to be tired. I'm like, well, it's easy to say that now. I would still go back and say I thought they were going to be tired coming out of that series. And they're not done yet. But look.
The Cavs?
The Cavs are not done, but they're not winning the title. They're not winning the title.
If you watched any of it last night, it just, stupid Toronto, man. They're up, up 11 in the second quarter. They let Cleveland go on a run. Cut the thing to 5 at halftime. They get back up by 13 in the third quarter. By the time they head to the fourth quarter, the lead is like 3. I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? They missed like 24 shots in the fourth quarter. They had like 9 tip-ins around the basket that didn't go in. right there on their last possession in regulation, and then somehow gave LeBron James a wide-open jump shot from the wing that bounced all around before falling off and sending it to overtime.
And once it went to overtime,
you know what was happening. You knew what was happening.
Yeah.
I don't get it. If they don't get it feels cliche to say if they don't get game 2, then it's over. Blah blah blah. BG, I don't know that now that thing's not over.
It feels like it.
I mean, I think it's just in their heads.
It feels over. It feels like I don't know. I mean, I might bet $100 sitting here right now that the Warriors beat the Cavs in 6 games. Like, that feels about right to me.
Ah, man.
And that is awful for the NBA.
Well, that's why that was going to bring me to my next question. Would it be
I
better?
knew that was going to be your next question, but you ruined my movie analogy, so I'm ruining your question.
Like a bull in a china shop. Would it be better for the NBA if the Cavs did lose?
Yes. Yes, it would.
Even with stars driving the ratings?
I don't think stars are the whole thing now, though. I mean, am I wrong? Am I so out of the loop in the NBA that I want to see competition and parity? That's the only thing keeping the NFL afloat right now. Me and you are sitting here right now. You know, you guys were really good last year. We weren't that good. Who knows what it's going to look like next year? The NBA, it just doesn't feel that way. I've been saying for a long time, they need more parity in a big kind of way. Teams like the Charlotte Hornets and the Pacers and the Sacramento Kings need to feel like they could have a 5-year plan to win it all. And Cleveland and Golden State continuing to do this, it's not good for anybody.
I'll say this. The question, would it be better if they didn't continue to advance? I'll say yes with a but. If they were to lose
you said but
to Philadelphia, or if they were to lose to Boston, then I think yes, it would be good. If they were to lose to Toronto and say Toronto went to the NBA Finals, I think that does absolutely nothing.
Well, I mean,
it does nothing for ratings.
Is that just the same way of saying Toronto shouldn't really be in the league then?
Well, no, I mean they're great. They're a great franchise.
As long as they play their role, as long as they lose when they're supposed to.
As long as they lose when they're supposed to, the NBA loves having Toronto. It's a great fan base. They love their team. They support it. They've got they've made the playoffs every year for like a decade now. They've got a combo in Lowry and DeRozan.
If you're Adam Silver right now and you're sitting in a room and you're going to use your odd cue ball shaped head to will 2 teams into the finals, who do you match up? Who do you want if you're Adam Silver? What are you looking for here?
I think Boston and Golden State or Philadelphia. Boston or Philadelphia, and only because you've got young stars.
Golden State has to come out of the West now.
Well, you asked me what the optimal ratings thing. I think if you get Cavs Warriors again, I think the Warriors beat them in 4, 5 tops, and it's not it's not really that compelling. We've seen it.
Celtics Rockets 76ers Rockets.
You asked what the perfect optimal scenario. I think optimal scenario is you get the big bad Warriors.
Well, is ratings this year everything, or is it long term ratings? Are we?
Well, I think it works out for both.
Okay.
If you get Philadelphia or Boston, you get the young up and comer.
Okay, I see what you're doing.
And then you get the big
Rocky
bad
and
Wolf.
Apollo Creed.
Yeah, that's it. So as long as if Cleveland were to lose to one of those 2 teams in the East, it would be fine. If they go back with Warriors Cavs, man, it's going to be ugly. I thought it would be ugly last year, and it wasn't pretty. But I think this year it would just be abysmal. I think Golden State runs them out of the gym.
I agree. I think the reason I said 6 games, honestly. It's not even a basketball thing. It's just sort of like, surely the Cavs are going to do more than win just 1 game again. I mean, but
what was it last year? It was 5 last year.
It was 5, and so I said 6 this year. But Golden State hasn't seemed as. Does it feel wrong to say that Golden State would win against Cleveland and sort of be bored doing it? I don't think Cleveland has any chance against them. None. If you have LeBron on the court, you have some chance.
You've got a chance, but LeBron is just having to do so much right now.
Oh, yeah.
To me, I don't see it as a sustainable way to continue to win in the playoffs. He finally got some help for the first time last night. And I think that's part of why Toronto was just like, man, what are we supposed to do?
Well, somebody else is scoring now too, right?
Yeah, you finally get LeBron on
We
an
have
off
all
night.
5 defenders on him.
You finally get the King to have an off night, and it just happened that J.R. Smith and Kevin Love finally decided to make some shots. I don't know.
Kevin Love has to be the most forgotten man in the NBA right now.
Kevin Love did make a shot for 6 games in 3 quarters, and then Sunday afternoon he decided to make like 4 threes in a 3.5-minute stretch, and I wanted to throw my shoe through a TV. Ridiculous.
Because people will overread that and make it into a bigger thing than it was, when really it was a 3.5-minute stretch of basketball. I mean, that's what we always do.
Ridiculous. Kevin Love, get out of here, man. All right, BG, it's that time.
Hang on, let me warm up my
Thumbs
thumb.
up.
Warming
thumbs
up
down.
my thumb. Okay.
Don't know if you saw it. After Game 6, the Thunder were unceremoniously...
I saw a replay of it.
They were unceremoniously bounced from the playoffs by the underrated Utah Jazz, and on the way to the locker room, a fan decided to take some videos or some photos. This is the second time that Westbrook got into that confrontation with the fans, but thumbs up or thumbs down on players confronting fans at ball games.
This is probably going to shock you, but I'm going to go with thumbs down on that. That's just a bad look, and here's why. The NBA is now, we've talked about this on the show, younger fans, if you are not a fan of the NBA coming out of the 90s into the early 2000s, you cannot appreciate how awful the league's reputation was.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, and if you want to culminate it with the man who would become Meta World Peace trying to kill
the
children.
malice in the palace.
Yeah, I mean, when Ron Artest went into the stands, and I mean full swinging, just swinging on people. It's hard to recognize that now, and we're completely removed from that. The NBA could not have a better reputation right now. If you're the commissioner, you have to come down this like Thor's hammer. I know that means nothing to you. It's an indestructible hammer, which is actually destroyed in the 3rd Thor movie, which is shocking. I don't want to give anything away with that. You got to come down on it hard. Like Mjolnir, Thor's hammer.
I have a hammer. I'm gonna go thumbs up on the players confronting fans. Now,
you're going to cop out and change it to what you want the confrontation to be.
As we said in our promotional video before the show, there's a line. You can't cross the line. You can't lay hands on fans.
All I did was pat you on the shoulder, man. I didn't cross the line.
Fans can't lay hands. There's a line as a fan. You buy a ticket, you're expected to be in your area.
Right.
When you go on the road, heckling by a fan is part of the gig, man.
Sure.
When fans in basketball, a
certain story of yours pops to mind.
When fans are right there by the tunnels, I don't know if it's poor design or what, but they're right there by the tunnels.
That's basketball.
Basketball, the fans are on top of you. Man, when you walk by, and especially when people are going to want to take pictures. They're going to want to take videos. That fan didn't have anything to do with Paul George bailing out on you in Game 6 or whatever that was that they just got beat in. Russell Westbrook.
So thumbs up then to what?
Thumbs up to the whole. Look, you buy a ticket, you spend that much money to sit that close to the court. As long as you're not...
You know what? I read that backwards.
As long as you're not...
No, you're
cursing.
saying thumbs up to players confronting the fans.
Yes, thumbs up to all of it, man. As long as the fan is not cursing, they're not, drunk and obnoxious.
But what do you think the players should be able to do? That's what we're talking about.
Confront the fans. If the fan is talking to Russell Westbrook, he wants to be part of the show. Make him part of the show. Let him feel like he got his money's worth.
The only thing is,
give him a story, because I've got a story.
You're putting too much pro wrestling into this, and Russell Westbrook is not. Hey, brother, you need to be quiet there in the crowd. I'm not into that right now. It's not an act, man. He's pissed.
Well, tough titty, cried the kitty. Okay. Listen, play better.
It's time to move on.
Thumbs up to the confronting the fans.
You're totally wrong.
BG, the Jazz and the Pelicans combined for 3 wins in the Western Conference semis. I'll start this one. I'm going to go thumbs down. I think they both get beat in 5. The Pelicans, they had a nice run on the road last night. They played tough. But when it comes down to crunch time, the Warriors... They've been there. They've done that. The Pelicans quite simply have not.
I'm not sure who it's going to be. I'm going to go thumbs up on this one. I think one of them gets 2 wins. Those are two good teams, man.
They are. both of them are going to be coming home probably down 0-2. I think they'll each get one of those home games. But I think they're both over in 5. Next up, players skipping the NFL draft as a top pick, BG.
I'm having a hard time with this one. I'm going to go thumbs sideways almost. I just don't
That's not
care.
a choice. That's not a choice.
Thumbs up then. It
Thumbs
doesn't
up.
bother me. I don't really care. The whole draft thing's out of control anyway.
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to say thumbs up. You see Baker Mayfield, the number 1 pick in the draft.
Well, he wasn't planning on being. He's confused by why the Browns.
He
took
didn't
him
go, but one of my favorite stories also involves the Cleveland Browns. Joe Thomas, who just retired, he's going to walk into the Hall of Fame 5 years from
Never
now.
missed a start.
Never missed a start and barely won a game. But when Joe Thomas was drafted, I think he was, 4th or 5th overall.
Yeah.
You know where he was? He was fishing. He was like fishing on a boat, and his phone rings like, "Hey, Joe, you're going to be like the 4th pick in the draft. Welcome." And he's like, "Okay, thanks," and then went back to fishing. I think that's awesome, man. Thumbs up.
He is now my favorite player after that story.
Thumbs up. The next one. The NFL needs to chill out with the crazy draft pick announcements, BG. I'm going thumbs up on this one.
Thumbs up. It's so
David
dumb.
Akers gets up there the other night at the draft.
I know that was going to make you mad.
And I get the whole trying to get back for the Drew Pearson stuff last year in Philadelphia. I get it. If you're going to do that, at least send somebody up there that doesn't sound like a drunk chipmunk,
You
man.
can't send David Akers.
You can't send David Akers.
You've got to send Randall Cunningham, man. Do something.
Well,
come on.
I'm sure you can find any number of really tough.
Mike Golick. He's a famous Eagle.
Yeah, he's a real tough guy. But no, man, come on. And then Michael Vick gets up there. I've never lost to the Cowboys. And about 30 seconds later, it was flooded with Twitter that was debunked and box scores and everything else. So thumbs up, man. They need to cool it with that mess. Lastly, we opened it on the
There seemed to be a
Diamond.
theme there as to what you didn't like about it, but we'll move on.
Well, we got time. We got a minute.
It just seems like all your examples are people making fun of the Cowboys. Man, everybody hates y'all. Just learn to love.
I mean, that's fine, but it's just absurd. Again, don't go up there sounding like a little chipmunk.
What I'm saying is I just want you to tell me who you picked and let's move on. And again, I think there should be 30 seconds per pick. That's plenty of time to figure out who you need.
Oh yeah, no, I like the getting some guy.
I want all 7 rounds in 2 hours. All 7 rounds, 2 hours.
BG, lastly, the Braves will be 500. Where do they sit right now? What do we say they sit?
You mean 500 or above?
They will be they will be 500 or below. They're 17-11 right now by the end of May.
Okay, I'm still confused. They're going to be 500 or better or 500 or worse?
In the month of when the month of May is over, they will be 500 or below.
Thumbs down. They're going to be better than 500. The Braves will be 6-7 games above 500 at the end of May.
I think I'll go thumbs up, but I think just barely. Yeah, their May schedule, they've got 7 with the Marlins.
Right.
So that should be 5 wins at least. Because you're not going to beat them all the time.
Well, they're playing really well right now
They
against
are.
the Mets.
They are. But you've got the Mets again. You got the Nationals again. You got the Cubs. You got maybe the hottest team in baseball right now, the Rays. They won 9 of the last 10 games.
Right.
You got a couple with the Rays. I think the May schedule, I think they got more Philadelphia. I think the May schedule is going to get tougher. They haven't lost a series. They've lost 1 series all year long.
Does it feel like they're playing the Phillies every other game?
And I could be wrong about the Phillies, but the Braves have lost 1 series all year long. I think they're going to hit, a skid of 5 days or a week where guys are just tired, they're not feeling right. I think they're going to be just barely above 500. They're going to drop a couple games in May. My opinion.
I agree with you. I don't think they keep winning at this clip for the entire season, but I mean, let's keep in mind that last year the best they ever were was at 500, middle of July. And it was all downhill from there. So I think they've definitely made improvements.
That's better. All right, guys, that is it. You can follow us at The Border War on Twitter if you want to talk to BG or tweet BG. He's at BG_Border War. I am at TanMan3264. You can email us at CarolinaBorderWar.com. Let us know what you think. You like the draft? Don't like the draft? Let us know. You can like us and download us through the Spreaker app. We can also be found on YouTube. You can like and share us on Facebook. We are working on a phone line situation, so hopefully that is a situation that will be rectified soon, and you will be able to call in and tell BG all the ways that he was wrong. See you guys next week.